So let's start our Hatha yoga practice by just kind of centering for a moment. If you don't want to take child pose too restful, right? I don't usually start morning practices, too much on the floor. I like seated meditation. This is called Vajra, sitting on the heels. Very classic yoga start. Okay, seated is basically the most classic start. Roll the shoulders back and down, lift the crown and chest up, sit with integrity. Remember, yoga practice starts just by cultivating self-awareness, kind of connecting to the sensations of the body, all these different layers of awareness, connecting to the breath, becoming the observer, just kind of noticing where your kind of mind is, your thoughts, and then on another layer, your emotions. How's your energy today? Now maybe start to breathe. So breath work, pranayama, a slow deep inhale in your nose. Slow deep exhale. And let's just take a few of those to start. All right, yogis, when you're ready, if you need a little bit longer in this position, depends on the day. Maybe you need longer to ground, or maybe you're always grounded. You don't need very long here. All right, let's get to tabletop position. Starting just with some cat-cow movements. I'll briefly just instruct this. Inhale, arch the back. Exhale, round the spine. And I have my hands on blocks just to switch it up a little bit here, okay? Inhale, arch, exhale, round. Start to get the neck involved as you feel a little bit more warmed up, and then start to draw circular motions via your hips, your core, and your shoulders. Once you feel even more warmed up, and I am going to bring you right into that opposite arm and leg lift. This tends to be a classic, good warm-up. If it's a little too much for you, take your time. You can just do your leg. Eventually, once you kind of loosen up your pelvic tilt and spine via the cat-cow, press your left foot down, lift your right leg high, and then reach your left arm forward. Like I said, if it's too much, just lift the leg. That tends to be considered to be a lot easier, okay? If you're feeling good, big inhale and exhale. Let's get that body moving, okay? The limbs now. So the first exercise was core. Think your back, your pelvis, your abs, your hips, your spine, and now we're more in like the major joints, so hips, knees, ankles, elbows, and shoulders, okay? And since it's first exercise, maybe you don't do a ton of them, right? Okay, right knee, left hand down. It just depends on the day. Some days you do 15 reps or 3 rounds. Some days you just do like a 3 or 6. Left leg and right arm. You guys know this. I'm leaving out some of the cues there. So inhale, we lift and we lengthen. As we lift and lengthen, just don't let your lower back arch. And then exhale, round and squeeze. Go ahead. So the idea is movement without too much strain in the first maybe movement or two. Okay, something your body's a little bit more accustomed to, and something that's not too much weight bearing or resisted. And as we progress, we increase range, challenge, weight bearing, complexity, balance. Now, please take your time, yogis, all right? Eventually, meet in that tabletop, downward dog it. Let's lift those hips up and back. And like I suggest on a tight day, particularly if it's your first one, it's the morning, a moving down dog. Okay, so moving in ways that feel good tends to be my favorite cue, especially in the morning in the first option here. So you get blood flow via movement, all right? Lifting heels. I like to remind you that alternating heels. So as I lift my right heel, my left inner heel presses down, and then I just kind of switch. Also, it's very different to lift both heels up and press both heels down. It's also very different to kind of bend your knees and then straighten the knees a little bit, okay? So that's all different here. It's also very different to bend your knees with your heels more down versus lifting your heels and bending your knees. So a lot of little subtleties, yogis. Some of the things might seem very subtle, but they are impacting the body very different. So last few moments here, please. Eventually, try to let your head hang low and maybe come into that breath work. So take your time. You know, you guys are kind of doing your thing. Remember, I'm just like kind of a general guide. You're here to just get into your body. You're open to what I'm saying, but hey, you know, some mornings the intuition is really powerful and it's just telling you to do something else. That's fine, okay? Now, let's just start with a couple more gentle chaturangas this morning. Inhale, shift forward and plank. Bend elbows, straighten elbows, downward dog. So we don't do this one that much in this class, the simple variation. Inhale is a high plank, exhale is a low plank, inhale is a high plank, exhale is a down dog. And you can do a few more. You're always welcome to add chaturanga vinyasa with the back bend if you're ready. You can add extra push-ups, or you can just go forward and back. So that would be a little easier. Last few. You know, like we say, you know, 15 tends to be a good number to work towards. Most people are going to find a level of strain where the body goes into that adaptation of strength. But if you do 3 to 6, you're not really going to hit that as much unless you have a lot of resistance or weight. You know, people always say, how many reps should I do? There's a lot of things that decide that answer, okay? Now listen, I am going to go right into another movement here. This is a little bit bigger now. It is our first step forward, and it is our first twist. So I'm going to show you with blocks, okay? So options here, we're going to meet in plank. It looks like this. It's easier to step forward. So plank posture, right foot outside the right block. Start easy, right arm out and up. Okay, right hand down, plank posture. You can even go back to dog if you want a little bit more movement. Left foot outside, left hand, left arm out and up. Twist with your core across that leg, okay? So it's a little moving meditation, okay? A little kriya. It's a repetitive feeling. You can even drop the knee a couple times if you want. Since we have a small group, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, right? There's not like a best way. Some days I drop the back knee down, or I'll do like a few with the back knee lifted, and then I'll do a few with the back knee down, right? Then I'll do a few moving, and then I'll hold one, kind of depending on what I'm getting in that moment. Some days I'll do it from plank. Some days I'll do the dog. Some days I'll go pretty fast. So take a few more. Go ahead. Stepping forward and twisting. Now, if you're just joining, we're doing like a moving warm-up here, yogis, okay? Make sure you're just having integrity in your movements, using your breath, listening to your body as we go. Remember the idea of trying to listen to the body throughout the practice, not just kind of like do exercise, all right? Cultivating self-awareness through physical actions could be called like asana, or you know, vinyasa could be the movement of it, or All right, guys, listen. We're going to bring it down to the knees, and we're going to start with a little bit different back bend now, and that is the camel. Don't forget that camel is basically the same as cobra, okay? Hands going to swing behind the back. This is what I've been mixing in the last couple weeks here. Remember, the knees go wide, and we're not like hyper stretching just yet. Sometimes that's what cobra is, like too early. Fingers intertwined, do the opposite pinky grip, lift the heart, roll the shoulders back. Try to take a couple breaths. I could go so much deeper, but that's not my real intention yet. You probably don't want to go for your deepest extension stretch yet. So take another breath or 3, feel it, breathe. Okay, big inhale, please. Take it slowly back down to tabletop. I want to do one more subtle exercise here. All right, so we're going to meet in tabletop. You're going to cat-cow it. Hips over, knees. Right shin, foot, knee hover. Go slow. Right leg's going to go out to the side, glute medius. Right knee hovers an inch. Don't let my body lean left or twist open. Just lift the right knee and thigh out. And then lower it down, hover it an inch. I'd just like you to do a few more, please. Right? People, it's like the most common question. How many should I do? Well, that depends on how you're feeling that day. If you're really tired and your back hurts, you probably shouldn't do that many. Draining your energy pool when your energy is really low is really not that recommended anymore in exercise. Muscle movements use a lot of energy. They're one of the, brain uses the most energy in the body, but very strenuous exercise uses a lot as well. Okay, so somewhere between 6 and 12 is what I usually say. Right knee goes down and second side, left knee shin hover, and it's just a lateral movement. Think of it like a side plank, a half moon, a lateral action. Okay, if you find this when standing, we do it on the back. When I'm creating the classes, I have like this general outline just based on the biomechanical myology. Okay, so you'll see these kind of sequencing patterns throughout classes, even though they come in many forms. We just came from like twist and step forwards and step backs, and now we're in more lateral. We came from extensions, asymmetry, right? After the big asymmetry. So if you start to see these muscular biomechanical patterns, you'll really understand about like how I instruct more, all right? So I use ancient yoga, but I apply the modern science to it, just so we're not kind of doing random stuff, all right? Get out of there, guys. So I do want to go into a little plank hold. If you're ready to do, a big one, if you miss some stuff, some of you are signing in a little bit late here, you missed some of but you can definitely go here, but I want to go a nice static posture, okay? Feet walk back, shoulders over elbows. Squeeze your butt in your thighs, spread your back. I want to do a plank hold. If it's tough, you're on your knees. If it's easy, hover a foot, go into an arm balance or a forearm stand or a handstand. Close your eyes. I got you on the clock. 1 minute, please. Keep breathing, yogis. I'm right here. My little dog, she's being a pest. We're training her to ring a bell to go outside, and she keeps ringing it right now. She hasn't gotten a bathroom in the house in like a week, so we're still trying, she's keeping her training going here, okay? Now listen, guys, I want to do a big dynamic exercise down in the chest, so I'm not going to think stretch right now. I am going to do the shoulder stretch we do often, but in moving. When you are done with your weight bearing on your arms, full body core, let's lower down. Take a moment if you need this. This is basically the warm-up for the movement as well. So it looks like this, yogis. We already kind of did this, all right? Right arm reaches out, roll to the right. Back to the chest, roll, left arm reaches out, roll to the left. Back to the chest, right arm reaches out, roll to the right. So we tend to do this one in stretch form more, okay? Because the arm, we take this weight-bearing horizontal abduction rotation. You're not very used to that on the average person, so stretch, right? It's a back fly. Our first twist was across the front. Now it's away from the front. It is similar to the first twist, but also has quite a different couple different properties there. If you're confused, it really looks like this. On your chest is in essence what's happening, okay? So take a few more side to side. Breathing and moving is the idea. Full body, second rotational pattern. I normally teach moving twists first, unless we're on our back or in a simple seated form. I tend to do moving twists first. Let's move that body before we stretch the end ranger for some of our most complex motions, particularly in the spine. All right, back to center, okay? Now, second symmetrical extension. Camel was basically the first. Lift your chest, point your toes, press your pubic bone down. If you're feeling good, maybe reach your arms down by your side, lift your arms. The goal is activating now. We just loosened up in the movement. Now, straighten your legs, point your toes. Okay, a couple breaths here. I'm lifting everything up because I'm feeling pretty good. At this point, I lift my arms and maybe hug my arms back behind me. The idea is to activate your back body. So how do we do that? We lift the chest, the upper body is going to get your upper back. By lifting the legs, you're going to activate the lower hips and the legs more. By lifting the arms. So anything that can lift up, you're going to get more what we call like a compound exercise. The less you lift would be more like an isolated form. You just do your lower back or just your legs or just your arms. I love the idea of teaching the arms to work with the upper body because again, we're trying to get those shoulders back and then teach the legs to work with the back of the upper body, okay? Big inhale, let's lower down. You know me, I like the complexities to confuse the brain. Next weird challenge. Back to child pose. That's the idea. Let's keep the muscles confused rather than do multiple reps of one exercise, okay? Here we go, downward dog when you're ready. If you're just coming in, we did child pose to start practice, a lot of us, so you're welcome to stay there longer if you're joining a little after, okay? Downward dog, second time here for a lot of us. Last 3 to 4 breaths, a little bit more disciplined and active now. Press palms down, inner hand, lengthen through arms. Sit bones up and back, lengthen side bodies. Don't let back arch if you're stretchy. Don't let back round if you're kind of tight here. So work against your kind of tendency. And if you know remember that there's this idea we learned in myology, it's called torque. It's basically like rotational strength, let's call it, where your body can rotate. I often say stabilize on all 3 planes because that's more of it in a big nutshell. But if we can learn to laterally rotate the humerus, so shoulders rotate, so outer triceps rolls down, bicep rolls forward, and pronate, that's the double rotational torque strength in the arms. It's hard at first, but you're gonna be way stronger in down dog. I've personally experienced that. Thighs actually medially rotate, so that's a little different. Inner thighs roll back and out. You need some type of rotational action to stabilize rotational plane or sagittal coronal or overstrained. So that's just some science there for you. Big inhale. Let's walk our feet to the front of our mat. Okay, take this stretch for a moment. Nice inhale. And exhale. Take 3 to 4 breaths, forward fold in. You know, it's a little bit later in class, so if you want to like pull on your toes, step on your hands, get a wrist stretch. I don't teach that one enough. It's really good, the gorilla posture, where you turn your palms up and you actually step on your hands there. The wrists go, the toes meet the wrist crease. You know, just like kind of swaying side to side. You know, if you want to do one more of those shoulder grips behind you. We already did a few of the arms moving back in space, 3, where we did our twist here, and then we did the lengthening of your anti-spiral line in the front body. So you already got a pretty good amount of arms back. You don't really need to go here right now, right? Here we go, guys. Let's stand up. Okay, so we're gonna do a movement now, and I'm gonna basically give you a little extra time here. I'd like to demo, and then I want you to go into it, and then I'll show you another option here. So let me show you. This is called like horse stance, goddess pose, sumo squat. It's this wide angle glute squat. A lot of names here. My knees are out. Now let me show you what we're gonna do quick here. I want this to be where my arms go up, because as I lower down here, I want something reaching up. So it looks like this. Hold on one sec, sorry. Oh no, okay, here I want you to pull. As I bend the knees, I pull. So remember the idea of having arms, core, and legs always involved? Palms face each other, I'm gonna pull. If you'll watch me here, I'm gonna pivot my back foot in. This is where I want you to work on this pivot. I always pivot, and I watch you guys, and a lot of you aren't doing it. You're kind of like in this middle space. Watch me here, pull, pivot, arms up. Pull, pivot, second side, arms up. Pull, goddess, symmetry, pull. Back line, more front line. Pull, push, lunge, pull, squat, push, lunge. Does everyone see the little movements? This is how we're going to get our second round of the lunges in. Our first one was the step forward with the twist. Now it's this big rotational quality. So if the arms are too much to start, just keep your hands on your hips or right here. Look, I pivot, so my hips turn. I bend the knees up a little, slowly pivot open. So I went too fast. Okay, lunge, wide squat. Lunge, wide squat. This is a burner, okay? We're always squatting very symmetrically and lunging in a kind of isolated form. And you're gonna feel it, hopefully. When I did this yesterday, I feel it. My butt is really sore. I don't know if it's from this or some other exercise, but you know, this movement here where I pivot that back foot in, I turn, then I go low and I lift, and then I pivot out. You're gonna really feel that in the legs, in the hips, hopefully here. So last few in the first round. So we did some weight bearing on the arms, not too much. So I do want you to kind of like push, pull if you can. Pull, push, okay? Arms are moving a lot. Now, my second option, if you need a little rest, it's the same exercise, but we have another add-on. We can keep having more fun with this, by the way. Get way creative here. Think of it like a standing type of vinyasa movement. I've had you before. You do warrior one, warrior two, goddess, warrior two, warrior one. Remember that? So play on that. So here we go. Same thing. Pull, push, watch, warrior three. In essence, this is like warrior one. This, you can add this pull now is warrior two. Okay? Here's back to warrior one and warrior three. Notice this is a new pull, and so is this. This would be straight arm extension. I had you do row. Now I'm having you do what's called a pull down or a pull up if you're doing reverse training, right? If you can grab a bar and actually pull up. So listen, yogis, now it's a pull down, elbows back and down. It's like you're pulling a bar to the back of your neck. Then I pivot my back foot in, I reach forward and up again, still a push, and then it's a straight arm extension. So my arms go back and up as I shift forward to warrior three, okay? Keep following because I'm looking at the screen here. So if you want to see it in creative form, so this is a very different pull, remember. We just kind of did that on our chest and locust, cobra, but it's always good to do it like a moving form too, where it's coming like this. So last few rounds, second time through, you don't have to add the warrior three, but this takes care of all of our warriors, okay? Keep working, yogis. We're already almost halfway through class, okay? I am going to give you a couple good stretches here coming up. I love cellular biology, and I talk about, you know, I love the idea of the mitochondria. How can we enhance the function of the part of our cell that produces our energy? We know that breathing deep, this is key, yogis, breathing deep in and out your nose. You know, exercising with low breath quality is a completely different thing than exercising with good breath quality. If you know, especially straining heightened heart rate cardiovascular work, and your breath is shallow, erratic in and out your mouth, you're actually, your mitochondria are not getting enough oxygen for what the energy they need to produce, right? So it can be, the same exercise can be very bad or good based on like breath and emotions. We're always trying to do like emotional intelligence practice and that stuff. All right, now listen, let's come back to center. Take a moment here. Let's do a still posture, okay? Now, I am going to go into toe balance, so we are picking it up, you can see, and we're going to do only a few more standing exercises today, so keep focused. This is the toe balance. Now, in beginner yoga, let's say it's gentle. I would go arms forward, and I would bend your knees and lift your heels. And that's all I would do, and I might say, you know, walk around the room on your toes. That's easier, okay? Not easy, but easier. A little bit more is to kind of bend your knees more and walk. Also, another nice thing to do here is squats. Just notice my chest doesn't go forward. My knees do, and my heels lift higher. All the way up, squatting. My heels stay lifted. So there's a couple options for you. Or you can hold a really deep chair in the knee, you know, for the athletic knee training, where your knees are invincible, toes are way in front. Knees are way in front of toes, heels are very lifted. That's not easy, yogis. We just did a lot of squats out here where the weight's gonna be in the heel more. I wanna get into those toes. That's glute squat. This is you're gonna feel it very frontal in the front of the body. So that's normal to feel it around the knee, especially if you're doing the squat. Last few, please. Sorry, Mate. I just got your message. I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to. Yeah, sometimes you get cut out of Zoom. I know that was happening yesterday when I quick peeked at the recorded version. I realized that I was like freezing up I was like behind. I was like saying stuff and then my body would move like 30 seconds later. So apologize, you know, we'll do the best we can. Doesn't have to be perfect, okay? All right, guys, get out of your toe squat there. Now that's part of our balance, by the way. So we've done warrior 3, moving in and out. And here, now I want to go still balance in the lateral. Remember when we were on our tabletop and we lifted laterally? This is another round of that, but it is straight leg. It is more adduction as well, too, okay? So here we go. Left knee lifts. Now, this one is subtle. I want you to pay attention. Shoulders back and down, lift the chest. It's like I just get lazy and I'm standing around and my hips flop to the right. So if my right hip, my foot is down, my right hip goes right. The action is to bring my hips to the left. Get lazy, hips right, work, hips to the left. So it's like a tree, but look, I'll show you from the side because you can see it's just lateral. Like if I were to just show you here, you'd be like, I can't really see it. That's because it is sagittal, coronal, right? So here, get on one leg and move your hips and core laterally. Notice my head isn't really moving that much. It's just like my midsection, okay? Holding this up is going to be tough because it's hip flexor. So sometimes I'll just have you hold this, kind of combining things. Second side, hopefully you feel around the hip. It is a lateral stabilizer. Think of it like a side plank, okay? Go ahead, right knee. We're always doing these like sagittal balances, basically forward and back, let's say. I want to get into more varieties of side movements or stabilizers. Side plank and half moon are fantastic. We're not going to do those today, but they are really good. Let me see. So it's not really that left leg moving, Leslie. It's more of your hips. Okay, so it looks like that. This is why this one's so confusing. Look, it looks like this, but it's not that at all. It's actually my hips flop to the left. Okay, it's like you're standing around. Anyone stand like this? I do all the time. And you know, my pelvis is too mobile now. So I'm always like this, or I'm always like this. My pelvis actually moves too freely. Okay, that's why I've started lifting weights a little bit more. And that is not easy. So here we go, hips left. So it looks like this leg is moving in action, but it's not. See? That's an illusion based on the pelvic movements. Remember that I want you to do Nasal breathing, please. So you should feel that like a lot here. Glute medius, okay? If we don't have strong hip stabilizers, phasic muscles too, like your piriformis takes extra tension, your joint capsule, and your connective tissues. Okay, let's get out of there. Take a moment to do this one. So a loosening twist. We were doing some of that pivoting. Now I want to do our Nally today. Remember the hollowing, the vacuuming of the abdomen? This is really a morning practice. Unless you obviously fast and you don't eat, calorie restriction like I do. I never eat till 4 o'clock ever. It's been almost a year. The last time I had a lunch was when COVID started. So calorie restriction is one of the best ways to improve mitochondrial function, body energy. Your body uses so much energy to digest. So the point is, you have to do this on an empty stomach. All right, I can do this later in the day. But once you eat, probably not the best idea. We're gonna bring our hands on our knees, widen our feet. We're gonna keep our spine long, but relax our abdomen. Shoulders back and down. Create good habits there. Big inhale on your nose. Listen, you're gonna take a big exhale. You're gonna actually hold your breath, but on the bottom of your exhale. So empty lungs. From there, squeeze your pelvic floor, tuck your chin, tongue to the top of the mouth, pull your back belly up and in. So if I may demo quick, even after having 60 ounces of water and probably like 8 ounces of coffee, still it's gonna feel different. So remember that you must exhale and hold, because if you inhale, your diaphragm is low. This will not happen on an inhale, okay? You must exhale all your air out. Hold the breath at that point, which lifts your diaphragm, and then the rectus abdominis transverse can pull up and in, creating that more hollow, vacuumed out. Don't hold too long, guys. Take a breath, and let's try again. If this is confusing, that's normal, yogis. Your muscles aren't designed to do this. I think that, we should probably be doing this in elementary, because kids can actually do it quite easy, some of them. And we'll start that basic, very tactile work deep in the abdomen. You're getting an abdomen massage. This is affecting the visceral muscle. So, remember you have 3 types of muscle. There's muscle surrounding all your organs called smooth muscle, and that's what moves the food through your digestive tract, let's say, and processes it. It's good to get some stimulation in there, and the crunches and even like twists, it's really not enough. We need to actually get up into the abdominal cavity. So if you've ever gotten a massage from me, I'll press on every organ, literally, right? And I'll ask you to fast if you can. And I'll massage a little bit the fascia of the organ. So by pushing in and kind of pulling, circling, tractioning, we're gonna affect those muscles get tight too. We have found adhesion on smooth muscle as well. So it's good to find a way to tactilely work it, like literally like touch it, okay, and massage it. Organs like to be massaged. Get out of there. We got to keep going here, guys. So there's your reminder of your Shat Karma, one of the 6 main cleansing mechanisms of yoga. Okay, Neti is one. Kapalabhati, that breath is one of them too. All right, guys, let's make our way down to the ground. Yogi squat. Widen your feet. Inhale, arms high. Get low. So we did your 3 balances today. There's your tonic exercise. So you also did your opposite knee and opposite arm. So now we're going to come into inversion practice. We're going to break this down. This is classic Hatha yoga. If you're feeling good, I want you to do headstand, handstand, dolphin, one-legged, one of those big ones, okay? If you're a little tired, no worries. Lay on your back, please. Right from here, I'm starting the clock, 3 minutes. This is full body inversion. So we just stimulated cleansing of the core, the digestive viscera. Now, flip it upside down. Help some of the drainage, another cleansing mechanism of the digestive tract. Just to be clear, your hips do need to be above your heart. Okay, so this is subtle, but it still works well. For more, shoulder stand, big posture. Looks like this. My shoulders do not have to be stacked under my hips. You can see that. Yeah, this is more working towards advanced version, but this is enough. I'm working rolling my elbows together behind me. If you have handstand at the wall, headstand hold. I'd like you to get your body in an inverted position. Do some breath work and meditation. Relax where you're over tense. Engage where you're too relaxed. Inversions are very active to start, yogis, but then it's like relax completely. You know, when I'm doing my super long headstand holds, yeah, I do activate in the beginning. You know, I am turning my legs on, pointing those toes, kind of bringing my body into the memory of keeping it up there. But then I literally like relax my legs up there. All right, and that's a little more advanced, but I wouldn't suggest somebody who's not good at activating to relax. All right, so know your body. So we're gonna go another, you got 2 more minutes. Let me see. Leslie looks good, nice, Kathy, nice Stephen. You're working too hard there. Your legs are more over your hands. So you wanna, it's weird at first, but you wanna bring your legs above the torso and core more. It feels like you're gonna fall back at first. That's what's weird there. Inversion practice. Enjoy it, guys. Have some fun. Do your classic inversion practice of Hatha yoga. So this happens in Dharma yoga, Sivananda yoga, Iyengar yoga. Teacher will say inversions. Teacher just, takes a walk. You go into your own practice. Get the body upside down and remain there, please. All right, the goal is to hold one, not necessarily do an advanced version. You got 1 more minute only. So basically what's gonna happen here, guys, is we're gonna, after this, I'm gonna give you a quick, just kind of neutralizing stretch, and then we are gonna do strong back line. So stay where you are. I just wanna let you know what's headed next. So extension practice, I want active, because we've done minimal back bends. We did an active cobra, but that was to the extent of the active back bends, building strength in our back body, okay? Up table, bridge would be therapeutics. Up table would be a step up. Reverse plank or wheel would be the big ones. All right. So that's where we're going to head for the next. We will do a neutralizer, and I will do a quick like ab stimulator. It's funny, you find a lot in the myology that activating a muscle that's hurting has an analgesic effect. A lot of people wouldn't think that, right? A lot of people wouldn't think, oh, this muscle hurts, let me activate it a lot, that's going to reduce pain. But it will. I have experienced that so many times. My back hurts, I don't stretch it. I do stretch it. But I also, once I know it's out of acute phase, like the super irritated phase, I'll start to activate it. I'll start to work it. And I notice that makes it pain reduction. Okay, we're bringing that activity in there. It's kind of like rebooting the system. Okay, inversions is done, guys. That's over 3 minutes there. It's about 3.5 minutes. So let's keep going. Now, I do want to do a stretch. We've done a couple sneaky outer hip stretches, right? And I am going to teach a restorative posture in the end for the front body. So a nice simple version there. If you're on your back, you could do figure 4. If you're upright, you could do Sukhasana. I always like to suggest What are some hip stretches you do less of? Pigeon is fantastic. People tend to do that a lot. So doing something like this, a bilateral rotational stretch is good. If you're on your back, so we got regulars, I'm suggesting a hip stretch. I'm not suggesting one in particular. I'm trying to mention some things, some thought process, so you can do some inner work. Have to make a choice, okay? So I'm doing this one here now. I'm showing you that one. Big deal. You don't really got to do a front body stretch because we're about to back bend. And we will do a hamstring stretch as well, so you don't really need to go there. Very soft could be something like this. Hip stretch of choice. Got another minute and a half. I'll tell you when you're halfway so you can switch sides. Breath work. So smooth, slow breathing, still body, calm mind. You know, if we have a small group like this, no word on next Sunday yet. I apologize to be so kind of all over, but I've tried to accept some classes in person, not losing those opportunities. I want to do what's called free practice. You see this at yoga studios, I've mentioned it, where I'll show up and I'll say, okay, let's do a warm-up movement. I won't even tell you what to do. I'll do a few, you can watch me, and I'll kind of practice with you. It's really, you know, putting you on your own a lot more. And then I'll say, okay, a core challenge. Or then I'll say, okay, first front body lengtheners, you know, we usually say back bend. First glute stimulator, first asymmetrical leg work, right? Or, you know, we would just keep it in context of the, you know, the idea of what we're trying to do, not necessarily a particular exercise. So if we were to have like this group here, okay, 8 of us here, 9, including me, I want basically to give you the opportunity to work on just, we're here together, using each other's energy, pushing each other, but we're also kind of now basing the practice off just what body tells us, more so. Okay, so listen, guys. Oh, I didn't tell you you're halfway. Hopefully you switch sides because we're actually done with that one. So now, yogis, we're in our final. All right, if you want, I promised you a core stimulator. I think that is good to do before. I like to really activate my abs because as we go into the active back bends, the more we can stabilize the midsection, the better. So if we can tighten up our abdomen first in a very isolated form, you know, it is really good. So I'm gonna just lay on the back because I'm gonna teach bridge and wheel. And it just looks like this. Thighs are a little wide, hands are in prayer. I pulse between my thighs, then I pulse outside the right knee. I pulse between my thighs, I pulse outside the left knee. Pulse, 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 pulse. If you want a little bit more, legs can hover. Pulse, 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 pulse. You can even do it with more legs forward. Pulse, 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 pulse. Go ahead. Well, you know, if your back hurts, you might just want to hold the little crunch. You might not want to add the twist. Crunching with back pain would be to basically make your back weaker. I mentioned activating your back if your back hurts. Doing crunches if your back always hurts. People like, my back hurts, I got to stabilize my core better. That's a very tricky one because in the old science, everyone is doing abs. Okay, now we're learning actually to strengthen the back muscles. And lower back is not an easy thing to strengthen, okay? We are gonna do the active back bends coming up, but just so you're aware, I wouldn't really recommend like an active rounding if your back acutely hurts, okay? Just like I wouldn't recommend it, the only way I would recommend it really is cat-cow, right? So I wouldn't recommend it here, I wouldn't recommend it here, rounding, right? I wouldn't recommend it in crunch. So again, there's a lot of personalizing the practice. All right, guys, so that's good. Final big active moment. This is classic Hatha, back bending practice. activating, shortening our back line. Ideally, it's hips, spine, and arms. So easiest, block between thighs, feet, arms down, bridge. Okay, holding, breathing, working, big toe down, heels to shoulders, squeezing block gently, posterior tilt, lengthening side bodies. More, squeeze your block, one leg forward. Butt working. If you're feeling good, up table, add your arms, okay? If you're feeling great, you could do reverse plank. That's a whole nother level though. Or wheel, okay? So more freedom. I want you to, we are gonna do restorative bridge as a group in a moment. So wheel pose if you have it. Quick demo there. You guys know these poses though. I don't want to spend all the time demonstrating and giving you cues you heard a million times. Bridges if you're a little tired, achy. You can do bridge if your back hurts. You actually want to push into it a little bit probably, unless you just recently hurt your back. I am comfortable saying, like, this word is weird, but force into extension. Your back hurts, push into bridge actively. You can't do bridge and hurt your back. I mean, it's not actually true, but it's very hard to hurt your back doing a bridge, okay? Restorative bridge, much more likely to hurt your back than active bridge, okay? I do recommend if your back hurts to use a block too, because that's gonna create more stabilization. You're gonna be able to like move less, and there's more muscles kind of supporting joints, particularly if it's like SI, right? Because your sacrum, your psoas isn't gonna like pull on that lower, your lumbar as much. Nice. So yeah, take a break when you need, and we're gonna do another minute or two. That's it, because I want to get you to a couple stretches. Nice, Stephen. So we're in back strengthening practice. So I wasn't clear. There it is. And you remember, Stephen, I've done like up downs there. It's one of my favorite one-legged hip thrusts. So I'll lift one leg, I'll drop down, touch my butt, and then I'll drive up through that right heel there. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite glute strengtheners. Your butt is gonna really get strong if you do that regularly. And you can basically do that almost every day, right? Maybe 4 days a week. There it is, couple more. Now, you got another minute or so. So take a break whenever you need and do one more good solid round. Ideally, it's about 3 rounds. Nice. Yeah, you can do like a couple different ones. You start with a bridge, and then maybe you're feeling good, you go to a one-legged bridge, and then maybe your last round you taste a little wheel if you're feeling up for it, because all those are gonna be slightly different but similar. I can't see most of you, so I don't know what all ears are doing. Yeah, one more round, yogis. You're gonna stretch after this, so put any last effort on the mat. So class is gonna end with a hamstring stretch, a twist, restorative bridge. Even though I know a couple of us I saw you put your hips on a block already, so you might switch it up at that point, but we'll get to that in a few moments, okay? So listen, a short stretching sequence, okay? I am gonna do a little hamstring, minimal hamstring stretch today. It was down dog, touch your toes, but I wanna do a bigger one, a little asymmetrical one, think of it like a pyramid. I'll keep moving forward, back benders, take your time. You don't need to do stretches at the end of every class, okay? I'm gonna start Happy Baby. It's a place I like to bring you for a moment. It kind of signals that you're shifting gears. You know, like I'll usually do this when we're coming up off the back, or like right in the beginning to wake the body up, or in the end here to slow down from strain. Okay, so Happy Baby starts with hammies, then calves, ankles, into the toe, into the foot, the heel is final bind. And you're bending and straightening. So this would be our straddle in a sense.
Okay, we didn't do straddle, touch toes. So this is happy baby to start. This is happy baby to finish, more wide. You're working towards widening your feet by grabbing your ankles or your hamstrings even. Okay? Legs up. If you have a strap, you can do it. Hands intertwined behind the right thigh, left leg releases. Flex your right foot, pull your right thigh toward you as you work on actively straightening your leg. Couple breaths. Try to lengthen your core, press your lower back down a little bit. We actually already did this, right? Warrior 3. This is Warrior 3. Look at my body form. That's Warrior 3, right? This is a really good one to teach your body to reduce the muscular resistance in Warrior 3, okay? If you want to open your leg a little bit, whether it's bent or not, we already did this, but as well. Goddess, right? That bent knee opens. In case you weren't aware, it's the same form, similar. And we're going to take that twist. So when your leg goes up, with your strap or not, scoot your hips right, deepest twist of class, right knee over to the left, right arm out. Take your time, you know, again, it's a little more freedom, yogis. There's no perfect timing. If that was a little too fast today, then you do it different. And then, you know, no rush. When you're done, let's come back to center. Quick happy baby if you'd like. Think of it like after doing Warrior 3, you do a little vinyasa. It's like knees in the chest would be child pose, right? Okay, and then eventually right leg releases, hands intertwined behind the left hamstring. Right leg releases. Your left leg is actively trying to flex the foot and straighten the knee. So that's quadricep engagement. So those front thigh muscles, if you activate them, then you know those ones right above the knee there, that's gonna straighten your knee. If you're opening the hip, go ahead. So basically, you know, you were here, and now you're kind of here. Nice, yeah, a lot easier using your strap. And then, you know, reminder, not do it right now. Eventually it's the twist. So you come back up and you go across. So if we don't do like revolve moons, this is always a good thing to end in, or we don't do it in standing forms. It's good to add those kind of complex hyper ranges in the asymmetries in the end. Not too many lunges today, not too many kind of big balances. If you notice your Warrior 3 is like really restricted, you know, we do that posture in my class constantly. This is a good thing to do. Like when I say, oh, you showed up to a power yoga class early, you have 5 minutes, you're doing a little strap stretching, just make it soft because it's first, but that'll really reduce muscular resistance. I literally heard countless yoga teachers say stretching doesn't help active postures. I know it does. I know from experience and knowledge. If we reduce muscular resistance, your muscles pulling against an action, active forms become easier. Maybe it's different in everyone's body, but stretching reduces muscular resistance, right? So active stretching. So let's get back to center. Now our final pose, I do want to think of it like the vinyasa I mentioned, right? There was an open hip, there was a front body movement, and there was a rotational. So I was going to do restorative bridge. So if you already did that and you want to do restorative fish,
So what I'm suggesting is this one. So a nice stretchy posture for our front. If you wanted to go huge today, since we got regulars, it's the Vera like this. Now, I would start 1 foot at a time. So I'm in bridge. So instead of going legs here, which I teach all the time, there is that next version, which I teach not very often, that I look at it, I reach and grab the top of my foot. Now, I don't bring the foot wide. I bring the foot directly toward the upper body in space, bring the top of the foot down. Now, some of us might be able to do double foot, but you have to be careful because as you go double foot, you go big anterior tilt, which means your block has to be a lot lower. So single leg, you can keep the block a little higher. But it is better if you're going to try this. Whether your legs bend more or straighten more, your block should be lower. So that's always a good general rule. Okay? So it looks like this. Block under. The twist, and this would be the biggest stretches of class. So there's for my crazy yogis. Crazy in a good way. This is easiest. The second round of inversion is always welcome. I did mention the sword fish. Final stretch posture of class into closing meditation.
Yeah, 1 more minute here. So just a quick note, some people have asked, is the instructed meditation class gonna ever happen again on Sundays? I do want to. Right now I teach 9:15 down the street at Equinox. So they do want to move that class either earlier or a little bit later. I'm still trying to work with the manager, and she's so helpful, luckily. And I do want to add the 15 minutes back. Extended meditation on Sundays. It's a good day to do it. Even in yoga, Sunday is supposed to be a softer day in like the weekly cycle, the lunar thing. So we work in here, but not like super hard. I do want to add the meditation, but what I want to do is kind of give you the opportunity. So I'll remind you of some of these meditation methods. It is good to start like working on applying. So when you're done with your final stretch, I want you to establish yourself in a grounding position. Remember how class started? If you came in a little after we started, we either took child pose, seated meditation, or laying on the back. I'll let you choose. Something to kind of center and to really get more subtly aware, to tune in. I like to say it, to arrive into your self-awareness practice. And if you want to go longer today, I'd like you to, because I do have to head out about 8:45 just to make sure I'm on my second class in time. And I want to remind you of some of our meditation methods. Now, we have Kriya breathing. It's very simple. It's like box breathing. It's a slow elongation in the nose of the inhale, a hold, an intentional hold, a slower, even longer exhale, and then a hold at the bottom. So sometimes it's usually considered a start, like inhale for 4 to 5, hold for 2 to 3, exhale for 5 to 6, hold for 1 to 2. So that's the box breathing. It's about as basic as pranayama gets. It's the Kriya breath. Some yogis say all you need is Kriya breath. Okay. Alternate nostril breathing. I won't go over that in detail. Oming, humming, om. Vibration is so powerful. Okay. Thanks, Mate. The meditation, the 4 steps. I like to do a little bit of breath work, subjective gratitude meditation, observation, okay, and then either shavasana or intention setting, visualizing. Visualizing, gratitude meditation. I'm just mentioning some. Which one do you need to work on? Which one's calling to you? None are better. None are better. I love gratitude meditation. It's one of my favorites. And breathing. Chakra visualization. Visualization in general is used for pain management. Reprogram neurons to stop feeling pain by visualizing. Remember, visual cortex gets taken over by pain receptors if you have chronic pain. Let me think. Breathing into your abdomen, directional breathing. Just shavasana is great. If you have a candle, you could do the Tritak. And there's a few, right? Asking yourself questions, just reflecting on what's going on in your life. So there's a few just mentions of our foundational meditation practices. Let's establish ourselves here. into our final pose. I am going to say goodbye from here, yogis. All right. Thanks, everyone. Do your meditation on your own now. Try to go for a good 5 to 15 minutes if you can, okay? Namaste, yogis. I appreciate you guys showing up. Good work today.